Welcome back to another tabletop on GBGuns. We've got the GSG 16 from Germany via American Tactical Imports. It's an MP5 shaped 22. Looking forward to this guy coming up next on GBGuns. So before I get into the gun, I want to show you what all comes in the box. You get these magazines, which hold 22 rounds of 22. They've got the thumb assist for loading, which is excellent. I have one of the old HK model MP5 clones and some magazines for it. Those are no longer available. We'll see if they run in the GSG, but you get those. You do get this pretty cool decal made in Germany, German sport guns or German Sportgewehr. And a little baggie that has some interesting things in it. So aside from your cleaning parts, which is a nice right-angled brush for being able to get in the chamber and things, you have a hex key / Allen wrench and replacement sights, both with dots and without, front and rear, which I thought was interesting for adjusting to probably different points of impact, because if you've seen any of our 22 reviews, there's quite a few loads out there, and we have an assortment of them from Aguila in that we'll be checking out. Another thing that I thought was very cool of them to include is this plastic dummy round. Bright orange, so it's really obvious, and this is extra important if you're not familiar with 22s or you're new to them, because 22s should not be dry fired. Reason being is they're a rim fire, which means the firing pin is striking on the edge here. And if there isn't something there, like a piece of brass or plastic, that firing pin strikes on the steel of the chamber, and you can damage your firing pin that way. So the big issue with 22s is, of course, they're great for training and practice, great for getting youth involved, but dry fire is difficult without a snap cap. I do have some aluminum dry fire rounds that I picked up. The problem with those is they get so mangled after a few rounds of, or a few squeezes of the trigger, that they become useless and they're rather expensive. So the fact that it comes with a plastic one, I think is pretty cool. Let me get this stuff out of the way and let's take a look at the GSG 16. So if you're familiar with my tabletops, you understand that my bench space here is not enough for a full rifle to stay in view, so we're going to have to pan across, if you will. Starting off with the muzzle, we do have a aluminum barrel shroud that looks like a faux suppressor, which is kind of cool. The thread pitch is labeled in the instruction manual. In fact, that's something that I need to show you. The manual is very clearly printed in English and goes over the breakdown. There's our thread pitch is a metric 16 by 1 left hand. But fairly detailed instructions here, including the field strip, which looks, well, rather complicated. You see, for these to be made, they had to be different enough from the MP5 design to not make Angry HK even angrier. So, like, there's a screw instead of a push pin, for example. So things break down a little more complicated. We'll see how dirty it gets when we do our shooting impressions and run it through a variety of different rounds. And then after that, if need be, break it down for cleaning. Some 22s are filthy, some of them no big deal. So I'm curious about that. So everything that you interact with, all of the interface is plastic on this thing. Trigger feels like it's metal, but the rest of it is plastic. That could be a pro or a con. The pro, of course, is that it remains lightweight, and if you ever shoot in extreme temperatures, plastic is much better than metal, so I appreciate that. We have these rail sections all the way around our fore end. You can see that our charging handle is reversible, it can be changed. Works just like the MP5, palm up and towards you, you smack back and bring it up to lock the chamber open. We can see that we're clear there, and down releases it, or if you want to be Bruce Willis, you smack it. Either way works. Rail section all the way across the top. Going through here, we've got our thumb paddle release, which I've become a fan of. A little bit of doctrinal history. Part of why that's on these guns is it's European, or at least German practice, or had been at the time that the MP5 was designed, to retain the magazine. So by coming up and pushing this with your thumb to pull the mag out, you've got a mag in the hand. You have to retain this. I mean, you can throw it away if you want, but it's going to be in your hand. So that institutes a little better magazine retention than a drop-free push-button system like we have on the ARs. Our safety lever is nice and large and flips very easily. Much easier, I've got to say, than my 22 MP5 or my Zenith Z5 RS. Nice large pistol grip here. And here's our stock, which you can see has a rail piece on top. I'm not exactly sure what for. You've got room for lanyards here, or you can use this to store a spare magazine. So if you're using this as a backpack gun or a truck gun kind of thing, wrench gun, you can keep a round of loaded mag back here on hand in addition to the one in the gun or instead of one in the gun. I think that's pretty smart. You've got a toggle release here to pull the stock out, and it has multiple positions of adjustment depending on whatever length of pull you want. And we have a nice angle here for rolling up into the shoulder. So I see that as a positive. We have a peep style rear sight and a post front sight that is not shrouded, as you can see there. And on the other side of the gun, we've got safety as well. Of course, these paddle releases are always ambidextrous, and there is a button mag release here, but just like on the MP5s, the G3s, all of that, it's really far up there. I have large hands, and that's a big reach for me. So it looks like the paddle release is going to be the way to go. We're going to lock the bolt open and load that dummy round so we can take a look at trigger pull. If you're new to the channel, I, as a shooter, could care less about the weight of the trigger pull. And obviously, stuff like the P64 that has like a 30-pound double action, that's absurd. But for the most part, all we want to know is what does the trigger feel like? Because weight doesn't matter if it's smooth, and weight doesn't matter if it's gritty. So we can see we've got our dummy round in there. I'm going to drop the charging handle, chamber it. We'll move to fire, and let's see what that trigger looks like. We've got our take up to a wall. Crisp break. It's hammer fired. I can feel that hammer swing up in there. So it actually feels a little better, I gotta say, than my MP5 clones. So that'll be interesting. We'll get this out to the range soon and run a variety of 22 loads through it. Keep that round out and see how it handles the really light stuff, the really heavy stuff, see what it likes, and throw an optic on there and see what kind of accuracy we can get. I haven't done much 22 work in a while, but every time I've done it, I've had a lot of fun with it. 22 is inexpensive. At the time I'm filming this, I've seen it for 4 or 5 cents a round when bought in bulk, and no recoil, not a whole lot of noise, and just an enjoyable experience. It's still useful for rodent control, pest control kind of things, and great for training and just having an easy time at the range without a whole lot of noise and fuss. So this is the GSG 16 from ATI, American Tactical Imports. Looking forward to getting it out hopefully soon, and we'll see how it does and report back to you. If you have experience with one of these, let me know in the comments below. Let all of us know, rather, so we can learn from you what's worked and what's not worked for you. This seems like a pretty solid setup. It does feel different in that it's all plastic, but like I said, that also means that it's not going to be excessively hot or cold. There's also not going to be any rust on the outside of the gun because it's plastic. Plastic doesn't rust. Thanks for watching. We'll be out to the range soon. Look for that shooting impression video coming up. Thanks for watching.